Hey folks, happy Wednesday to you. We continue our Pastor's Devotional Series, and Wednesday, February 24th in our Lenten journey. The statement of today, or the plea, the prayer of today is this: open my eyes to see the places and people I can serve. So it's a prayer to God: open my eyes so that I can see the people and places that I can serve. Now, our prayer ministry has put together this calendar. Some are scriptures, some are prayers, some are questions for you to go through each day. We release on Facebook early in the morning each day on our church Facebook page the thought of the day, and you can get the calendar, FUMCCV.org. What I'm doing is sort of also thinking through maybe one scripture passage that comes to mind when I read that question or the thought of the day. My mind, sort of the way I'm wired, always goes back to scripture. It's like, what's the story that illustrates that talks about that gives evidence of that? Here's the one, and if you've ever heard me preach, you've heard me preach on this passage because it's one of my favorites. I think it's super, super important, especially in our day and time with sort of rise of Christian nationalism and that whole movement. I can't stress enough how important I think this passage is. It's in the Gospel of Mark. So turn over into the Gospel of Mark. It's in the first chapter, verse 29 is where we are going to be. All right, Mark chapter 1, verse 29. As soon as they left the synagogue, they entered the house of Simon and Andrew with James and John. Now Simon's mother-in-law was in bed with a fever, and they told him about her at once. Jesus came and took her by the hand and lifted her up. Then the fever left her, and she began to serve them. That evening at sundown, they brought to him all who were sick or possessed with demons, and the whole city was gathered around the door, and he cured many who were sick with various diseases and cast out many demons, and he would not permit the demons to speak because they knew him. In the morning, while it was still very dark, he got up and went out to a deserted place, and there he prayed. And Simon and his companions hunted for him. When they found him, they said to him, "Everyone is searching for you." He answered, "Let us go to the neighboring town so that I may proclaim the message there also, for that is what I came out to do." And he went throughout Galilee, proclaiming the message in their synagogues and casting out demons. Now, there's all kinds of things in this passage, all kinds of issues that are raised. So, how did the demons know his voice? Why is it that when he healed Simon's mother-in-law, she was responsible for immediately to get up and serve Jesus and the others? Those are issues. But the issue I want us to think about is this: that question: open my eyes to see the places and people I can serve. So Jesus, in the very beginning of his ministry, he's with his disciples, and he goes to the home of his disciples, and they heal. There is this wonderful, amazing healing ministry that happens for that disciple and that disciple's family, and for the people of that particular village that disciple was connected to. Then early in the next morning, so that happens one day, early in the next morning, Jesus is sitting outside the house. And I imagine that he's looking across the Sea of Galilee. And it says he went out when it was still dark. And so as it's getting light, what he would be seeing across the Sea of Galilee are the little fishing villages that are across the sea that are waking up. Someone wakes up and they light a lamp and they put it in their window, or they begin the fire outside the house, and you would be looking out in the night, maybe complete darkness. And then as dawn happens, there's a light that begins to flicker over in that village, and a light over here in this other village. And so you would see these villages waking up. The disciples wake up and they go to find Jesus, and essentially what they want is for Jesus to come and do a reprise of what he did the day before. Heal us, heal our loved ones, take care of our village. And Jesus says, no. We must go to all of these villages, whether you live in them or not, whether they're your people or not, whether you've ever been there or not. This is all the people who I have been called to serve. So on that day, what I believe is that Jesus was opening the eyes to the places and people that the disciples were called to serve. So our prayer for today is that God would open our eyes. This Mark passage is witness of how God opened the eyes of those first generation disciples. So think of yourself sitting outside, looking across, and suddenly what you begin to see are people who, and places that maybe before they were in complete darkness and you never even knew they existed. And suddenly, you come to understand it's those people, it's those places to whom I'm called. Open my eyes to see the places and people I can serve. I hope this is helpful to you. God bless. Have a great day.